From manufacturers you know like Alienware and Lenovo to those you may never have even heard of like Corsair and Chillblast, we've made a list of the best gaming PCs we could find, after putting them through an ultimate test to decide which ones provide the most bang for your buck. So, let's dive into the 10 best gaming PCs you can buy today, so you can get to pushing your pixels. 1. Chillblast Fusion Spectrum Ryzen 7 Gaming PC. A gaming rig for skilled multitaskers. CPU, AMD Ryzen 7 1800X, graphics, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1080Ti, RAM, 16GB 64GB, storage 250GB SSD, 2TB HDD, 500GB SSD, 6TB HDD. Great design. Powerful. Expensive. Overkill for 1080p. The Chillblast Fusion Spectrum might sound like the coolest water gun ever made, but it is in fact one of the best gaming PCs you can buy today, thanks to its ever-so-sweet AMD Ryzen 7 processor. It may be pricey, and even unnecessary for any of our readers who haven't made the jump to 4K displays. This fantastic PC delivers brilliant performance, especially for streamers and multitaskers. 2. Alienware Aurora R7. Ease of use meets a pretty chassis. CPU, Intel Core i5 i7, graphics, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1050Ti 1080, AMD Radeon RX 580 Vega 64, RAM, 8GB 64GB, storage, 1TB HDD 1TB NVMe SSD, 2TB HDD. Plays games smooth as butter. Attractive, not over-the-top design. Chassis lid a bit finicky. Noticeable fan sound. As is custom with pre-built gaming PCs, the Alienware Aurora R7 isn't just a computer. It's a whole menu of computers that you can choose from and personalize based on the specs of your liking combined with a set budget. It's important, then, for it to be easily upgradable and attractive to look at considering its awfully high price tag. Fortunately, the Alienware Aurora R7 is both of those things and will impress those unconvinced that they should build their own rig. 3. MSI Infinite A. This VR-ready machine is built to last. CPU, Intel Core i7 7700, graphics, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1060, 1080Ti, RAM, 16GB, storage 2TB HDD, 128GB SSD, 2TB HDD, 512GB SSD. Very powerful gaming system. Whisper quiet fans. Variety of ports can be confusing. High specs mean high price tag. It's not uncommon anymore for PC makers to brandish their pre-built desktop rigs as VR ready. What is unusual is to do so with a computer that's also ready to conquer any game you throw at it at well over 60 frames per second and for under $2,000. That's exactly what MSI has accomplished with the Infinite A tower, whose graphical efforts aren't thwarted by its preparedness for VR, nor is it so expensive that it would see your head turn the other way. 4. MSI Trident 3. A slimline console-sized mini PC for your living room. CPU, Intel Core i5 7400 i7 7700, graphics, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1050Ti 1060, RAM, 8GB 32GB DDR4 2400 MHz, storage 2TB HDD, 120GB SSD 2TB HDD, 1TB SSD. Compact size. Silent and cool running. External 330W power brick. Positioned as a console killer, the MSI Trident 3 looks a lot like an Xbox One S and is more powerful than a PS4 Pro, but at the end of the day, it's a PC that feels just right in your living room. Complete with all the ports you could ever dream of, the MSI Trident 3's advantages are clear. Still, in trying to be as thin and light as possible, the MSI Trident 3 comes equipped with a 330W external power supply brick, resembling some of the most less attractive console designs. 5. Lenovo Idea Center Y900. PC gaming on the high end, no tools required. CPU, Intel Core i5 6600K, i7 6700K, graphics, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1070, 1080, RAM, 8GB 16GB DDR4 2133 MHz, storage, 1TB HDD 2TB HDD 256GB SSD. Available GTX 1080 GPU. Looks awesome. Included mouse and keyboard stink. Limited store upgrade options. If you're buying a pre-built PC, upgrades should be simple, right? That's the philosophy behind the Lenovo Idea Center Y900. Embellished with red lights all over, the front of its chassis is bespeckled with textured patterns that'll no doubt make your friends jealous. On top of offering support for a VR-ready GTX 1080, the Lenovo Idea Center boasts SLI support and room for up to 64 GB of RAM, which are thankfully complemented by a convenient tool-less design. 6. Dell XPS Tower Special Edition. It doesn't look the part but plays it well. CPU, Intel Core i5 8400 Core i7-8700K, Graphics, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1050Ti, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1070, RAM, 8GB 16GB DDR4 2666 MHz, storage 256GB SSD, 1TB HDD 256GB SSD, 2TB HDD. Compact, minimalistic design, affordably priced, non-K, lock processor. The Dell XPS Tower Special Edition is a lesson in subtlety. This on the DL gaming rig looks like something you'd find in your dad's office rather than something powering the latest PC games. But rocking an Intel 8th generation Coffee Lake CPU and a NVIDIA GTX 1050Ti even at the lowest configuration option, you're getting one of the best gaming PCs you can buy in 2018, but without any of the off-putting gamer aesthetic. 7. Origin Millennium. The ultimate power is freedom to choose. CPU, Intel Core i3 i9, AMD Ryzen 3 Threadripper, Graphics, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1050Ti 1080Ti, AMD Radeon Vega 64, RAM, 8GB 64GB DDR4 3000 MHz, storage, 128GB 2TB SSD, 1TB 8TB HDD. Sharp and solid new design. Stealthy PC case elements. More expensive than a DIY PC. When you buy a computer from Origin, it's almost like you're building it on your own. You have to be familiar enough with PC components to decide for yourself what goes into the rig and how much money you're going to spend on it. So, of course, our only real criticism of the Origin Millennium is that you can build a similar model for cheaper. However, because of its subtle design and flexible specs, we're willing to bet you won't want to. 8. Alienware Area 51 Threadripper Edition. Top-notch power comes at a cost. CPU, AMD Ryzen Threadripper 1950X, Graphics, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1060, 1080Ti, RAM, 8GB 32GB, storage 2TB HDD 1TB SSD 2TB HDD. So much space for activities. Record-breaking benchmark results. Absolutely massive. Absurdly expensive. In classic Alienware fashion, the Area 51 Threadripper Edition pushes the limits of both technology and your wallet. It's wildly powerful, markedly featuring the latest AMD Ryzen Threadripper 1950X across all of its configurations. The Area 51's triad design hasn't changed much since its introduction back in 2014, but on the inside this machine is essentially toolless to upgrade, not that you would even need to. 9. MSI Aegis 3. Finally, a true contender to building it yourself. CPU, Intel Core i5 7400 i7 7700, Graphics, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1060, 1080, RAM, 16GB 32GB, storage 2TB HDD, 256GB SSD 2TB HDD, 512GB SSD. Tons of ports. So very, very quiet. Surprisingly heavy. Difficult to open chassis and NBSP. Looking like something out of a sci-fi film, the MSI Aegis 3 is an example of a gaming PC that's way cooler pre-built than what you could possibly assemble on your own. Not only does the case look amazing, but it also features customizable, interactive lighting and top-of-the-line cooling. What's more, it's similar in size to the Alienware Aurora, but with a 7th-generation Kaby Lake processor rather than a Skylake. 10. Corsair One Elite. Power without the bulk. CPU, Intel Core i7-8700K, Graphics, NVIDIA GeForce 1080Ti, RAM, 16GB 32GB DDR4 2666 MHz, storage, 480GB M.2 NVMe SSD 2TB HDD. Unbelievable gaming performance. Compact, near-silent design. More expensive than competition. Corsair has made a name for themselves in pretty much every PC component category there is, so it was perhaps only a matter of time until they made their mark on the gaming PC market. Last year, they unveiled their Corsair One, a high-spec PC in a compact and quiet case that, while expensive, blew their competition out of the water. And they just made it better with the Corsair One Elite. Packed with an i7 Coffee Lake CPU and a GTX 1080 Ti, there isn't a game, or even a creative application that stands a chance against this tiny behemoth. If it's in your budget, this certainly is one of the best gaming PCs.